This is mental health counselor, and today we're discussing, and it's National World Suicide Prevention Day. We're going to be discussing some very hard topics, but it's very important and crucial to talk about these things. I'm with my guest, Mike McBride, author, founder, and publisher of ChildAbuseSurvivor.net, a blog that's been on for 20 years, pretty much. I'm going to take a break, and we're going to hear the Moments of Clarity song. And we'll be back in exactly 2 minutes. Stay with us.
Don't put yourself down, time for a change. Believe in yourself, time to rearrange. Be your best friend, bring hope to your day. Lose your critic, get out of your way. Now it clicks, moments of clarity. Now I hear moments of clarity. Now I get it, moments of clarity. To yourself be kind, it will please your mind. Find your joy, trust in you. Put in the time, you'll see how you grow. Many kinds of love you get to define. Find self-love, you're so alive. Now it clicks, moments of clarity. Now I hear moments
New
of
styles
clarity.
right at home. And there's no subscription required forever. So, isn't it time you started nailing your look? Get started today at StitchFix.com. Stitch Fix, personal styling for everybody.
Now it's time for Trump's In It to Win It American Minute, sponsored by MyPillow. Visit MyPillow.com and use promo code.
Be your best friend, best friend.
Hi, and we're back. And we're going live with Tan Talk Radio in just a couple minutes. If we can hear the ads from Ed, that'd be great. Make sure Ed can hear.
That maybe coronavirus was worse than he told the American people. But what's a leader supposed to do? What is a commander-in-chief supposed to do when China sets a virus out into the world? What the leader did was calm a nation. And this is exactly what he did. This is exactly what a president did. This is why he's going to win this year. Think about it.
This is Downtown Dave. How would you like to be able to promote yourself, your business, or someone else's business for less than the cost of one 60-second commercial on many Tampa Bay radio stations? Here's the deal. You can have your own 1-hour radio program on the Tan Talk Network for less than the cost of one 60-second announcement on many Tampa Bay stations. Your program will be on 2 Tampa Bay radio stations and will cover 4 million people in Florida, plus worldwide on the internet in both audio and video. And you'll have a web link for your business on the Tan Talk 1340 website. We provide the producer, the state-of-the-art equipment, free production of commercials, and much more. Check it out today. Call Lola O'Brien, the Irish Hawaiian, at 727-510-7622. That's 510-7622. Call Lola O'Brien now, 727-510-7622. Call now, and your 1-hour radio program can start tomorrow. Call 510-7622 for Lola O'Brien, the Irish Hawaiian, at the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Hi, this is Jay Leno.
Hey, this is Ted Nugent.
Hi, everybody. This is David Hobbs.
Hi, this is Bob Parshu.
Hey, this is Danny the Count Coker.
Hey, this is comedian, author, and most importantly, vintage race car driver, Adam Carolla.
Hi, this is Shirley Cha-Cha Muldowney.
I'm John Forrest.
Hey, this is Jack Roush.
And you're listening to Nostalgic Radio and Cars.
That's Nostalgic Radio and Cars with the most fascinating and legendary names in motorsports every Tuesday from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
This is Polly with the Brian Cash Claus Coupon Book.
The Brian Cash Claus Coupon Book is giving out free masks. Just call 727-804-6082. If you need a mask, we'll get it to you for free. That's our donation back to the community. The Brian Cash Claus Coupon Book. Free mass, 727-804-6082. Free mass, the Brian Cash Claus Coupon Book.
This is Polly with Eat, Shop, and Play. Join us on Thursdays at 4 p.m. We'll be interviewing local businesses and talking about shopping, playing, and eating. We're following the Brian Cash Claus Show at 3 o'clock, which you'll hear my voice on there too. But join us every Thursday, 4 p.m. here on Tan Talk Radio Network.
80s flashback.
Hi, I'm Paul Allen, and I'm the host of Good Morning Clearwater. We are found right here on the Tan Talk Network, 1340 AM and 106.1 FM, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. We will concentrate on Pinellas County and focus on Clearwater and Clearwater Beach. Weather, traffic, local and national current events, sports, trivia contests, and plenty of giveaways. We want to show the world why Clearwater Beach was voted #1 beach in America. Listen up every Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. to Good Morning Clearwater.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Welcome to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Werner, licensed mental health counselor in the state of Florida. Moments of Clarity's mission is to educate and end the stigma on mental health through the inspirational stories of our exceptional guests. You can join in the show by calling Tiffany toll-free at 866-826-1340 or on Facebook and Twitter at MOCwithTiffany. Now, here's Tiffany Werner.
Hello, and thanks for listening. This is Moments of Clarity. My name is Tiffany Werner. I am a licensed mental health counselor, and I am your host. And today is World Suicide Prevention Day. And well, there's only one day to be on me, but it is. And September 10th is World Suicide Prevention Day. It's a topic that not enough people talk about. And we need tools and tips on how to help someone in need. Before I introduce my guest, I want to say hi to Ed behind the scenes and at Tan Talk Radio. And hi, Ed.
And happy Thursday.
Is your camera blocked again?
Yes.
He just goes, yes. Can we try to unblock it one more time?
Yeah, I think he's trying to, whoever it is. Yeah.
You've been sent a request to start your video.
I did. I hit that button and it still didn't do it.
It will just have to be a disembodied voice today.
That's okay.
It's bad luck to not see Ed's voice. Try again one more time. All right, not to see his face, not to see his voice. It's bad luck. Something always goes wrong. Lightning strikes.
Let's just try it. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it's not letting me.
All right, well, I'm going to have to get through my OCD superstitions, I guess, to start that.
Okay.
Thanks for being here. I don't know. It's Zoom's fault. Not.
Yeah, I don't know.
Makes me uncomfortable, but you've been requested to join. If you can figure it out, say hi, okay? But thanks for all you do. And It's Suicide Prevention Day. And my guest today, he has been a blogger on child abuse and services and everything for 20 years. And he is a very courageous male abuse survivor and developed the first male abuse survivor blog 20 years ago. It's kept it going this whole time, called childabusesurvivor.net. And he's also a member of the Moments of Clarity team. Moments of Clarity strongly supports this website. And I want to welcome to Moments of Clarity, Mike McBride.
Thank you. It's very kind of you. I don't know that. So there's World Suicide Prevention Day. There's National Suicide Prevention Week, which is also this week. And then there's also Suicide Prevention Month, which is September, but I don't know where that falls. So it is not just one day. Actually, it's a whole month. I
think every day should be something like that. Though.
I mean, do not disagree. Yes.
I know that it needs to be acknowledged, but to call it a day or a month or a week, it just sounds silly, because I think every day we should pay attention and try to prevent suicide. We have months or whatever. I just find it silly.
Sure. It obviously being aware of the risks, being aware of checking in on people, all the messages that get out on a day like today on social media and stuff are things that don't apply just on September 10th. Right? They apply 365 days a year. But I think it's nice to have a day to talk about it and to discuss kind of all the issues around it and some of the causes, because obviously the rate is going up, has been going up long even before COVID. And that's not good. Right? We need to do something about that.
There's a lot of things that contribute to what's been going on. The quarantine is driving everyone crazy. When I say crazy, I mean like out of sorts, not you know, in a stigma way. But I'm getting a lot of clients, and I have a wait list, and I think it's making people unsettled and just not be able to go on vacations or travel, or the schools are virtual, and a lot of people are kind of, you know, imprisoned in their own home. And then especially for those who live alone and have been going through this, and are small business owners that have been affected, or job loss or financial impairment, has really affected the mental health of a lot of people.
Yeah, I think for everyone that's true. I think for people who already had mental health issues, that's especially true. I think about people who did suffer childhood trauma or abuse, like they're all this extra stuff that we're not used to. Now, some of us are very happy staying at home and never seeing anybody. I'm not going to lie about that. Right? But it does have an impact, and I think that is something that is important to recognize. And I also I want to kind of dive into a little bit what you just said about having like a backlog of clients, right? Because I think one of the things that I'm seeing more and more, and I'm grateful for it, on a day like today, is there are important messages about reaching out for help and checking on your friends and checking on your loved ones. And those are very important messages. But I think it's also an important time to kind of remind people that there aren't enough resources. There are a lot of people in this country who need help who can't get it, right? Because there's a limited number of therapists, or they just live somewhere where there aren't any resources, or they don't have the money, they don't have insurance, they can't afford it, right? I think
it's like with in Puerto Rico, like medication and doctor visits and all that stuff is hard for some of our friends. And you know, I feel bad for is the most, and this is a sidebar, but I have a few clients that were just filing divorce when COVID hit, and they're not selling their house, and they're under the same roof with each other. But I do feel bad for them. I have a few on my caseload that are like, they need, you know, are finally signing on houses to like separate, but before it wasn't an option. And so at least for some of us, we actually like the people we're stuck with, that we're living at home with, but there's a lot of people stuck that, I mean, so that could lead to thoughts of suicide or homicide or whatever too. Not really joking either. I heard some of the stuff I've heard, but yes, the backlog, and there's not enough resources. But let's start with your story. You've been doing this blog and website and reaching out to help others for 20 years, Mike. So like, let's go back, and how did this all start for you?
Really, it all started with a very simple idea, right? That I spent part of 1997. Right, I spent part of 1997 in a hospital. I actually spent 9 days in a hospital. I spent
suicide attempt. What kind of hospital? Like a Baker Act?
No, it was I actually had just sort of left, like got in my car, drove out of town, and caught a virus, a really, really serious virus. Like had to be pretty much just knocked out and had antibiotics. But
you're the cause of COVID? Just kidding.
No, pre-COVID, yeah.
Pre-COVID.
So I caught this virus, spent about 9 days in the hospital, and they even said, you know, it's going to be 6-9 months before you're normal, like before you're really recovered from this. So I was luckily able to go live with my parents during that time. My parents helped support me as I recovered.
How old were you?
I was 29, almost 29. I turned 29 that year. So I was able to do that. And obviously I couldn't really do a whole lot. I couldn't get out very much. But I had an internet connection. So, hey, cool. And I just started kind of looking at the idea that someone in that situation, if they go online and they're looking for someone else who's been through mental health issues, who's been through, and at that point, I mean, that particular hospital stay was not a result of a suicide attempt, but I had had one in the past.
Yeah, so let's backtrack a little bit. By 29, but you write a blog called Child Abuse Survivor. Mm-hmm. So I know that it comes from a place of heart. I mean, do you mind sharing something that it inspired, you've been through before the age of 29 that inspired that topic? If you don't
no, and in all honesty, the reason the story of the blog starts at 29 is because that's when I kind of discovered the internet and really wanted to have something just out there so that, you know, the next survivor who came along and was typing into Google would find something, mm-hmm. right? And recognize that, oh, I'm not the only child abuse survivor in the world, right? there are other ones out there. But that story obviously goes back, way back, into childhood.
So that's why I'm asking, what makes you a survivor of what, like, what happened?
So I grew up in a dysfunctional family, large Irish Catholic family, alcoholic father when I was a kid. Violently, he would get violent when he was drunk. I was also molested by someone else in the family for years, really.
A family member?
Yeah. And so, you know, I grew up with all of that. And one of the things that I write about often and try to really remind people of is, you know, all the things that you are supposed to learn as a child, like all the childhood development stuff, when you're going through that much trauma, that doesn't happen, right? That all gets short-circuited and you don't really understand the world and you don't understand how to act and you don't understand the social niceties of life. You don't understand how to
social niceties.
You don't really understand. No, that's a term. But you don't really. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're pre-exposed to mistrust and not knowing what's right and wrong and not knowing what is appropriate or not. And there's a lot of adult survivors of sexual abuse or child abuse. I wrote a book on it too. Mm-hmm. But I have so many clients, they grew up not knowing what is quote unquote normal or appropriate or socially normal, like a social norm.
Yeah,
because they were
just
taught,
don't understand.
Right. And then that's when they come into adulthood and look back with shame and guilt because they're like, I didn't know better. Why didn't I do something about it? And why did this happen to me? And all of that as well. Undeserved.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, I've done a little research and talked to some people about childhood development. And the thing I always come back to is, you know, when you're a little kid, the world revolves around you. Like you cry, people bring you stuff. Like, hey, look at this. Everything in the world revolves around me. And through childhood, through early teen years, you kind of learn that the world doesn't necessarily revolve around you. But when
teenagers seem to want it to.
That's fair.
Gosh, that's a whole different.
show. Some people don't learn. Some people don't learn that until way later too. But that's another show topic.
Don't get me started on teenagers.
Like when you're going through childhood trauma, you don't learn that, right? When you're 9, as I was the first time I was molested, right? I'm not thinking, oh, what is my place in the world? How did this happen? What's the grand scheme? It's this happened to me. Why did this happen to me? What did I do? What's wrong with me? And you really don't learn anything different. Like you have to unlearn that as you become an adult. And that's where having resources like therapists, you know, and I think about my own story post, you know, and that's the thing, you get into adulthood and suddenly it's very overwhelming, right? You have no idea what to do. Right?
Memories resurface that have been repressed because our mind is a powerful thing. And Dr. Jennifer Fraser was on the show talking about the DNA and the trauma, neuroplasticity of trauma and how it affects the brain. And there's a lot of people, a lot of adults that come into my office as clients in their 40s and 50s even, or late 30s, and they started remembering things that happened to them. And it's very confusing when that happens. They're wondering, like, is this made up? Did it really happen? But they're having flashbacks of something or triggered, like, just all of a sudden. And in my opinion, I think that's when the brain finally feels ready to start processing it. It's healed, and like the person's strong enough emotionally to start recognizing and remembering those things and taking things that have been brushed under the rug or not addressed because they've been repressed or forgotten for a little bit. And then that's when the healing begins. That's when a therapist can really help that trauma come through. And then it's, people get confused and ashamed, like, wow, I went through this, and they don't know what to do with it. And then it's, having to open a wound, a deep wound, not just offer Band-Aid solutions, and really work on the past, and having to recall stuff that people don't want to remember, but to just remember it and have that timeline so we know exactly what happened, and then heal from it, do the work and everything. I've seen some very, amazing, like, enlightenment and healing from some people that you would think, wow, like, that they thought they would never recover from it. But I've seen some complete turnaround and life-changing healing through therapy that therapy works with the right therapist.
It does, and I'm very thankful that so to kind of move the story ahead, right? As an adult, in my 20s, right, I was in a bad marriage. I was unhappy. I was dealing with major depression. I was on and off medication a few times, mostly by my own choice and just quitting and giving up, not by a doctor telling me it was safe to be off. And that it was during that time that there was a lot of, I just want this to end, right? I want this over, right? I don't want to do this anymore. And again, I think a lot of that
anymore, like live.
Yeah, just don't want to do this anymore.
A lot of people take themselves off antidepressants. They're like, I don't need these anymore. It was like, because they're working. You don't feel like you need them anymore because they're working. That's exactly when you don't take them.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden it leads into, I just want this to end. Like, so many people are like, I don't think I need these meds anymore because it's working. When you don't feel like you need your medication.
And I think for me, it was not, and you're right, that happens all the time. But for me, it was actually a little bit different. Like, I knew it was working. I just didn't care. Like, I didn't want it to work. I didn't want to survive this, right? I wanted it to just be done.
And they weren't working.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And they weren't working so much.
Hold on a second, Mike, before you continue. It is time for our first break. And I applaud you for sharing your story. This is going to help so many people. It's time for our first break, and we'll be back with Moments of Clarity in just a moment. I welcome callers to call in. A lot of our survivors out there, and people have lost people to suicide, friends or family, or have something to share or to feed in. Join our discussion, 866-826-1340. 866-826-1340. We're also live on Facebook and YouTube, and we welcome your comments or questions there as well. But we love live callers. 866-826-1340. We'll be back with Moments of Clarity in just a moment. Stay tuned.
You're listening to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Werner. We welcome your input at 866-826-1340. Tiffany will be right back after this.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Do you ask yourself any of these questions? Will I ever be able to get out of debt? Will I ever be able to retire? How am I going to pay for my children's education? How do I begin saving for my family's future? And if something were to happen to me, will my family be taken care of? Have you struggled in finding the answers? Forever Forward Financial can help answer these and many more questions about your financial future by teaching you how money works, by providing you the financial education you seek, by assisting you in making the right retirement or educational decisions that are best for you and your family, and by helping you take the necessary steps in establishing and meeting your financial goals. Please call us today and schedule your complimentary, no obligation meeting to discuss your needs and concerns. The number 727-422-7761.
Hi, this is Tiffany Warner, your host of Moments of Clarity. Living with a mental health disorder is not easy. If you or someone you know are struggling with this, please know it's so important to seek treatment, and I'm here to help. Please visit the website at momentsofclaritywithtiffany.com to view blog posts and resources on this site to help educate and inspire you to take action, because there's no shame in seeking help for mental health. While you're there, please take a few seconds to sign up for my email list. You'll get some extremely valuable educational and entertaining content that can be sent right to your inbox each week. Plus, you'll also get instant and free access to my guide on managing your anxiety. You can also follow me on Twitter at MOCwithTiffany and at Facebook at Tiffany Warner. And once again, the website is momentsofclaritywithtiffany.com. Thank you so much for your support and for listening to your show, because change can only come when we stand together as one.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
We are back to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Warner. To join in the discussion, call 866-826-1340. Now, here's Tiffany Warner.
Hi, and we're back, and thank you so much for tuning in. If you're just tuning in, this is Moments of Clarity. I'm Tiffany Warner. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, and I'm your host. And today we're talking about child abuse and suicide prevention. Today is September 10th, and it's World Suicide Prevention Day. It is day, right? Not month, but it's Suicide Prevention Day. My guest today has survived and has been a child abuse survivor himself, and has come out as one of the first male abuse survivors to blog, and has had a blog for the past 20 years. I gotta give you credit, man. That's a lot. And I don't know if I've done anything consistently for 20 years, like the same. I don't know, but it's amazing.
I'm a very boring person. I do the same thing all the time. So.
You've been very dedicated and motivated to keep up with a resource to help so many people called childabusesurvivor.net. And it's supported by the Moments of Clarity show. Mike is one of the team members behind the scenes that gets the show out there as well. So I want to say, I can tell you, he doesn't get in front of the camera much, but behind the scenes, he does so much. I know, I'm very proud of you right now. I've had to push him for a couple years, but very proud of him. Anyway, so before, I want to welcome callers. Call in 866-826-1340. 866-826-1340. If you have also contemplated suicide, survived suicide, live with suicidal ideations, known anyone that has committed suicide, or been a survivor of yourself, call in and share a little bit about your journey, or support us on the show about it. 866-826-1340. And before we went to break, we were kind of talking about you were just recovering from child abuse, and then remind me where we left off.
So and this kind of ties into the point we were talking about earlier, right? So after my attempt,
there's some feedback from you, Mike, where the sound is kind of groggly. Just want to make sure that we can hear you clearly.
Is that better?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So after my attempt, I was diagnosed with a dissociative disorder. Basically, I had the ability to not be here mentally whenever I chose to just be like, oof, gone. I could do that.
That's common from habitual,
exactly.
Childhood molestation. It's part of how our brain protects us.
Yeah, it's a defense mechanism that probably kept me alive as a child, but as an adult, it was not so great. And so
I don't know. I disagree. I'd like to have that sometimes.
There have been times where it's come in handy. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's probably gonna say it probably comes in handy sometimes.
But you do have to learn to control, right? You can't just let it go.
I do have ADHD, so I'll just take that, because I can drift off somewhere else when I want to, or accidentally do.
But kind of to your point, so while that was going on, my therapist decided that I was a bit of a risk, right? That they needed to keep a somewhat constant surveillance on me, but I wasn't in an inpatient clinic. What I had to do was I had to go check in with my therapist, and we were doing brainwave scanning at the time, and I had to check in with her every day of the week.
Like biofeedback?
Yeah, so I had to go in. Basically, I went in every day, Monday through Friday, and then we also did group sessions on, I think it was Tuesday nights, right? And so I think about that, and at the time, it was just like this massive, overwhelming thing that I wasn't really thinking about. But I think about that now, and I think, wow, I actually had a job that let me take a 2-hour lunch every day so I could go check in with my therapist. I had family who let me live with them for free so that I could afford to pay to go see my therapist every day. I had insurance that covered some of those costs. Like, that's got to be one of the most luckiest privileged situations out there, right? I mean, that no one has that.
No, they're supposed to.
Yeah, so
we're trying to change that. I mean, people need mental health days or mental health. I mean, I can go on and rant about this, but just the amount of the loyalty for employees and decreased sick days, or making sure that people are on their A game, it can really raise companies. I mean, benefit companies and employers so much just to pay attention to their employees' mental health. If they're going through a divorce, whatever, give them some time off to handle it so that, it doesn't, it's people being present.
Even when they're at work,
actually, they're not there.
Yeah, so, they're there, but they're not giving you good work.
Right, that's my point. And I think that employers, like, especially with human resources, when you're applying for a job, they're like, oh, we've got these great benefits. We've got vision and dental and all this stuff. And they don't mention mental health. We have these employee assistance program, EAP. A lot of people that have EAP services, they don't even know it. They're, because in HR, they're afraid to say, oh, and we have mental health resources, because they don't want someone to be like, thinking, why do I look mentally ill or whatever? Okay, but you're going to sit there and say, and we have dental. It's like, what's wrong with my teeth? Wait, we don't get defensive about that, but like someone's going to be like, well, we have a great dental program. Why don't we get defensive and be like, why do I need that? Like thanks.
For sure.
Like, whatever.
And I think
HR needs to start saying mental health as well.
Yeah.
And
I think that is happening.
Mental health days.
Yeah, I think with the pandemic, and I know the company that I work for has been great, right, at reminding people constantly, there are resources, there are EAP, we have an EAP program. You can call if you're having issues, like talk to your manager, like we'll figure this out for you. Like because I think they understand that this is mental health issues are a risk for everyone who works there, right? It's not just an outlier anymore. Now, it was always true that it was a risk for everyone out there. I mean, when you look at the statistics of number of people who've just had depression at some point in their life, it's like, this has always been a thing, that a lot of your workers are dealing with this. But now it's just so public, right? And it's kind of acceptable. Like, oh yeah, this is a thing that is happening to everyone right now. And that's great. I think that is, as an advocate for awareness and mental health days and resources, it's great that we are recognizing that. I do wonder, post-COVID, if we'll go back to ignoring it again, but we'll take what we can get.
I mean, there is a reason that there's a phrase called going postal on you. You know what I mean? Like, agencies need mental health resources, just saying. And I'm a provider for a lot of companies as an employee assistance provider of a program. It pays like crap, but I'm a solution-focused therapist. I like to solve the problem and help people just figure it out and get right to back to work. I do it because I believe in it, not just send them to someone that's fresh out of school all the time. You know what I mean? Like, that's usually who you get, and I don't know, but big supporter for teachers and the police department and first responders, big time, nurses and especially during this COVID. I'm on their employee assistance program, because especially right now, they have it bad, like really bad. Especially the teachers. I mean, they're having to learn a whole new virtual program as well as in class because nobody can make up their mind. And they gave 3 options. You want your child to go virtual for the first semester in class, or Florida virtual school, at least in Florida, like whatever, 3 options. So these teachers are trying to do Zoom while in class. One of them.
And you're trying to work while your kids are in class if you need help.
One of my teachers forgot she was on Zoom. And so the class all leaves the classroom and she starts going about herself and they're like, excuse me, can we leave? And the funny story is, and I'm not going to say what she was doing, but it's not something like she thought she was by herself in private. Just to put it that way. And there's these people on Zoom and it's like, you can't I think multitask and remember to excuse everyone. I still think that's funny.
Yeah,
you should have been picking a wedgie or something, but still, it's along those lines.
Yeah, and certainly with everyone working from home, I know our conference calls, our video calls have gotten a lot less official and professional. Right there's usually a kid in the background or something going on, and it's just sort of this is our reality now. Which again there's no reason to expect that not to happen at this point in where we are. So
right. I completely agree. And Mike, we have caller Joe.
Yes.
Hi Joe. Thanks for calling in. Welcome to Moments of Clarity.
Hi. Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome.
Hello.
Thank you for calling in. Hi Joe.
Yep. Hi Mike McBride. How are you?
Hey. Good. How are you?
Good. Okay. I have a real quick comment, then a 2-part question. The first comment is the AEPs that employers offer to their employees is a good thing. What is it?
EAP, Employee Assistance Program.
Okay, my bad. I think it's a wonderful thing, but I still feel there's so much stigma attached to it. It'd be nice if there was more people in public these public figures would get behind it and encourage people to get help. Now, for the question, Mike, 2-part question.
Doing it. We're on live doing it. Thanks, Joe.
Yep. But you're right. Absolutely.
More people, yeah. And but it is confidential, with where the stigma is attached to it. Yes, understood. But there's a confidential number that they get when they get their insurance card and they see a therapist, and no one from their work knows. It's not reported to their work that they're in counseling. So it's completely confidential, just to say. But okay, 2-part question, Joe. Go ahead.
So the first question for you, Mike, is when was your moment of clarity? I heard you talking about you felt the medicine was helping you, but you don't want to live anymore. So when was your breakthrough moment? And the second part of the question is, if you were talking to someone who was in your exact situation, or you wanted to take their own lives, what is it that you would say to that individual to try to help them get through that situation?
Wow, yeah, those are 2 heavy questions.
Joe, thanks for bringing up the moments of clarity when I don't have my belt.
Where's the belt? Oh man.
Bing. It's across the room.
I think for me there were I as much as Tiffany's going to hate this, there was not one moment of clarity. No.
I don't hate that. I don't believe it though.
For me, I think there were a couple of really key things that I needed to understand and learn. The first, kind of going back to what we were talking about before and not having any sort of adult skills, is sitting down with my therapist. One of the biggest breakthroughs we had in therapy was not necessarily healing from abuse or bringing up memories. It was the point in therapy where she looked at me and said, what do you want your life to be? Right? Forget everyone else, forget what everyone expects you to be, because that's, up until 30, that's how I had lived, right? I had lived in reaction to other people. I didn't really understand what making my own life looked like.
when she said that to you, you don't think that's a moment of clarity for you to like think, oh,
all right, that was fine.
I'll find some for you. Yeah, you can't be doing this your whole life and not
so
have had a moment of clarity.
For healing, I think that was really the moment of clarity. And then
ding, ding.
As bizarre as and before I even say this, let me caveat it and say this is going to sound really bizarre. But in terms of like wanting to live and not wanting to just end it, there was a day, and I don't remember why or how it came about, but there was just this realization that I'm actually going to die one day. Like that's actually going to happen. Whether
it's inevitable.
So everything that's going on right now is temporary, and why not just hang out and see what happens, right? And I know that sounds totally ridiculous, but I think kind of knowing that there is an end, right? And I get to choose. Those two things kind of combine together. Like I get to choose how I spend this time, and I get to choose what that looks like, and I don't have to wonder, is this indefinitely? Is this my eternity? No, I'm going to die someday. Like we are all going to die someday. So why not make the best of it, right? Why not do what I can and impact the way I can now, and build the life that I want? So both of those things. And then to answer your second question, I probably share that story.
I don't think that sounded bizarre at all, by the way. With every passing moment, it's a chance for us to turn everything around. And we never wake up to the same day twice. It's not Groundhog Day or whatever that movie is. Like every day the sun rises, and it's never the same day twice. And up to this moment, we've survived the worst days of our lives 100% of the time. And the worst day of our life is never going to be repeated. We'll never lose that person to death, that whatever. Again, that happens once. Things that have happened in our lives we can remember, but it's never going to happen the exact same way ever again. And we've survived it up until this point 100% of the time. So most of the time people are worried about the next day, or God, worried about something that hasn't even happened yet. 99% of the time it doesn't happen the way they thought or worried that it would be too. So, I mean, I don't think that sounds bizarre. Like, be curious to see what happens. Tomorrow's promised to no one anyway. And I don't know, like, embrace your curiosity to see what more you can do, what can happen the next day. You know, maybe you won't feel as bad. Like, if you do this one more day, you're not going to feel as bad anymore. Maybe somebody will come in your life that you didn't expect. You just never know. And just giving it a chance is important. I don't think that was bizarre at all, Mike. I mean, well, part two of the second question, and then
part two.
And then I have to go to a second break. So
okay. Part two, and I am by no means a professional, so if you're talking to someone who's at that point, I definitely encourage reaching out to a professional. But the thing that I would most remind them of is I would tell them my story, and then also remind them that they're connected, right? That they have a connection to other people in this world, right? That they are not out on an island by themselves, right? That I'm connected to them, that whoever else is around, because I think, having read some of the research and some of the recommendations from organizations like ASFP and others, and I can drop some links in to Facebook Live
later on in the show. We'll do that.
One of their big things is just make sure that people stay connected, right? Make sure that they have something they care about.
Support network.
Yeah, definitely. Just make sure that there are people who care about them and things that they care about. Remind them not so much, remind them that people care about them, but also remind them that there are things in this world that they care about, and kind of remind them that this goes away, right? If you aren't here, so reminding them that they are connected.
From a professional standpoint, also most people with suicidal thoughts or that are at that point feel like the world would be a better place without them in it, and to remind them that that's not true, and that they're loved, and that how much they mean to you is a good point to bring up to a lot of cases as well, because when they're at that point, they think that people will be better off if they weren't there, and that the world is, that people their lives are impacted because of them, when it's not. It's the other, so that's something to talk about. We'll get back to that in a minute. Thanks, Joe, for calling in. We're going to go to our second break, and we'll be back with Moments of Clarity in just a moment. Stay tuned.
We will return to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Warner after these messages.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
If you are like most people, you worry with the financial challenges you face today. How do you protect your family from financial ruin? How will you reduce your liabilities and get out of debt sooner? And how can you deal effectively with the constant changes in your job, your career, and your business? Overcoming your financial challenges is like building a house. You must build from the ground up. You must learn how to make more money, save more money, grow your money, and protect your money. Forever Forward Financial specializes in teaching you these 4 basic money skills so you can achieve your dreams and end your worry. Call us today and schedule your complimentary, no obligation meeting to discuss your needs and concerns. Call Scott Bigley at 727-422-7761.
Are you looking for a great book? If you like to root for the underdog, Joe Potosi's book is a book for you. A real American Odyssey that will grab your attention with its fast-moving narrative. You won't be able to put this masterpiece down. When the Dust Settled by Joe Potosi. Go to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or Zulin Press.
Hi, this is Tiffany Warner, your host of Moments of Clarity. Living with a mental health disorder is not easy. If you or someone you know are struggling with this, please know it's so important to seek treatment, and I'm here to help. Please visit the website at momentsofclaritywithtiffany.com to view blog posts and resources on this site to help educate and inspire you to take action, because there's no shame in seeking help for mental health. While you're there, please take a few seconds to sign up for my email list. You'll get some extremely valuable educational and entertaining content that can be sent right to your inbox each week. Plus, you'll also get instant and free access to my guide on managing your anxiety. You can also follow me on Twitter at MOCwithTiffany and at Facebook at Tiffany Warner. And once again, the website is momentsofclaritywithtiffany.com. Thank you so much for your support and for listening to your show, because change can only come when we stand together as one. Hi, this is Tiffany Warner, your host of Moments of Clarity. I'd like to give a shout out to musician, songwriter Don Lawson, who wrote, produced, and performed all the vocals and instruments on my Moments of Clarity theme song. Don gained his inspiration as a mental health counselor himself. He's always looking for artists to record his songs, and you can hear more of Don's music at reverbnation.com/Don Lawson. You can also check him out on Twitter at Don Lawson Music. Thank you so much, Don, for your contribution to Moments of Clarity and ending the stigma on mental health. It's awesome.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Now back to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Warner, licensed mental health counselor. To engage in the conversation, call 866-826-1340. Here's Tiffany.
Hi, and welcome back. And if you're just tuning in, this is Moments of Clarity. My name is Tiffany Warner. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, and I'm your host. And we are talking about suicide prevention. September 10th is World Suicide Prevention Day. My guest today is being very transparent and courageous by sharing his story. And as a child abuse survivor himself, has written a blog for the past 20 years called child-abuse-survivor.net, and has been passionate about helping other survivors seek help and not feel alone. And welcome back to Moments of Clarity, Mike McBride.
Thank you. I want to, we kind of went to break, but I wanted to go back to Joe.
Getting feedback again. Whatever you do, whenever you look, I think whenever you look down or something, it's.
Okay, let me look up. I wanted to go back to what Joe was talking about, and we were talking about the employee assistance program.
Fix it a little bit more. Yes, but the employee assistance program.
I read this tip somewhere, and I don't remember where, but it sounded very cool and very powerful. But the person was talking about, if you are in a management position in your company, or you run a company, you own a company, whatever it is, and you're trying to kind of eliminate the stigma around calling for help and things like that. They said, if you have a therapist that you go see, or you have appointments with therapists or appointments for mental health of your own, like on your company shared calendar, just list it. Just say that's where I am. I'm at my therapist. Like, make it that just, hey, that's just matter of fact. And that really opens up that, it makes people feel comfortable knowing that going to a therapist is really just a matter of fact thing in the workplace. Okay, this is what we do, right? No big deal.
And to post flyers in the break room or in the lobby. Hey, by the way, you've got employee assistance program. Please utilize your services. If you don't use it, you lose it. Kind of thing. But once a year, you get some money a year. That kind of thing. I personally even see a therapist. I think every healthy adult should see a therapist. I'm serious. I mean,
enough.
Even therapists see therapists. Well, healthy therapists see therapists because we hear all this stuff we're not allowed to tell. And for me that sucks. Like, I'm a vault when it comes to clients, but if I have like a present to give to you, I can't wait to when it's something exciting or something. It's hard to wait until the day of. I usually end up getting my kids 5 different Christmas gifts just because I can't wait for them to open them. If they're you're gonna love this, and I can't wait till the day of. But regardless, so therapists need therapists too, first responders, especially right now. It's hard to digest a lot of sadness and just pretend it's okay, without having to make sure that our mind is in check. And we're all human beings here.
No, and you're right. I think of you. I think of people who do what you do for a living. You talked about first responders and sort of, when you're dealing with that level of stress, when you're dealing with seeing people die, right? You need somebody to talk to. You need a therapist. When you're the therapist they talk to about seeing someone die, there's a transitional property there, right? You are now dealing with trauma too, secondary trauma, but you need to deal with that and having to listen to that story over and over, for multiple clients. So
unfortunately, throughout time, you kind of get desensitized to it and you just think about how the person is feeling and come up with coping skills to help them. And I can never get desensitized to hearing about a child that's being abused, though, or there's certain ones that, hit home because it's you can never get tired or it's never okay it doesn't ever get easy to listen to. There's certain topics for sure.
Yeah, and finding that therapist who can emphasize and can be professional and can help you, it can make all the difference. But as I said earlier, we also need to recognize that that's not always available for people. Or, one of the things I think we're becoming more and more aware of in 2020 is, if you're a minority or you're in some group that's a minority that is dealing with racism and dealing with stigma just for who you are. So for example, if I'm a Black kid and I want to go talk to a Black therapist, right? There's even fewer Black therapists than there are therapists, right? That percentage is super small. And
I have 2 that work with me.
Yeah.
My practice.
So
I have 2.
Hey, there you go. Go down to 4.
They are far and few between, but I actually there's quite a few.
Yeah, and so you're dealing with all of these different things that are going on in 2020, and just finding help is so difficult right now. And I think we need to make sure that insurance is covering it. We need to do what we can to make sure we are finding technological resources to help. Anything that'll get help out to more people, and not leave them just on their own.
One thing that coronavirus and COVID did do for mental health on this part, though, is a lot of times we're, let's say, I know you're in Louisiana, for instance, that you have insurance for the state of Louisiana or whatever, but you could probably go to any city in Louisiana and have the insurance or covered whatever the service is, but they're far away. Well, since coronavirus, since COVID, insurances have allowed therapists to do telehealth, so it would be virtual, but it also takes a 45-minute travel away from you, where you could see a good therapist that normally you'd have to drive 45 minutes, hour and a half to see. It expands your options. And so anyone listening, just what you do is you go to your insurance card. On the back it says for members. You ask them for a list of providers that take your insurance in the entire state and who's on your insurance, and then they'll give you a list of providers and see if they're doing telehealth. If they're too far away for you to see face to face, at least get the help virtually. I mean, you don't have to even have a PC or whatever. You can do it from your phone, even. And I mean, who doesn't have a phone these days? I mean, honestly, there's probably a couple of people that are still using flip phones, but
there might be some people still using like prepaid cell phones, and that hour therapy appointment's gonna be a lot.
Well, it's worth it, you know. I don't know. Those are the people that don't have that insurance, so Mike, come on.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like, those are the people we need to keep in mind, right? They're not be a resource.
And for Pinellas County, for those listening on the radio, I just want to let you know really quick, and then I want Mike to close up with all of his resources as well. But for those of you guys that are local in Florida, Tampa Bay area, Pinellas County, there's a mobile crisis response team. I have their flyer right here, and they respond, and for their mobile crisis response is there for you and your family at times of crisis. They help children and young adults up to age 25 who experience a behavioral health in crisis in Pinellas County. They respond to the crisis by phone and or in person, utilizing existing support systems. They're 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it's the mobile crisis team, 727-362-4424, 727-362-4424. Because I've known a lot of people, no offense to 911 or anything, but you call 911 just to get help, and you don't get the response you want from the police, especially some police in Pinellas County are
a whole other show topic.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not against police, but but sometimes they're not trained on suicide prevention, or they come in with they need more training on how to handle mental health issues, I think, in a sensitive way, or they're coming in and there's an abuse call or whatever, where they don't escalate the situation and they respond kindly to the situation, or are not quick to Baker Act, or do some due diligence like that. And anyway, so this is instead of calling 911, 727-362-4424. I'll put the post on our live on Facebook and everything like that. It's triaged by phone, and it's sponsored by Suncoast Center Incorporated and PEMS and Central Florida Behavioral Health Network. But anyway, so I think you can also text 711, but it says 727-362-4424. All right. So Mike, let's share your resources. We only have a few minutes, like 2 minutes.
So childabussurvivor.net, that's my website. It's got links to some other places, constantly updated with new information. One of the links is to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, which I think is, that is the place I do my Facebook fundraiser for my birthday every year. I think it's important. Also want to mention, I have a friend who has Meniere's disease, who is currently riding a bike from Colorado to Ohio to raise awareness and raise money for Meniere's. I will share that link in there. It's called Meniere's on the Vertigo.
Wow, awesome. And all of Mike's information is available in the show notes at www.MOCwithTiffany.com/show. And thanks, Mike, for sharing.
Thank you.
MOCwithTiffany /show. Be kind to yourself and a stranger. You never know what they're going through, and give somebody a random act of kindness today. World Suicide Prevention Day. Smile, make eye contact, even if it's a mask, I don't know, whatever. Be nice to somebody. You never know what they're going through. Take care, and thanks for all the support, the team, Building Beyond Me, Tan Talk Radio, and the whole MOC team, and childabussurvivor.net. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Now it clicks, moments of clarity. Now I hear moments of clarity. Now I get it, moments of clarity. To yourself be kind, it will please your mind. Hope is following you. Don't abandon yourself. Find your joy. Ask for help. Be your best friend.